Most people wake up every morning. They rush to work. They spend 8, sometimes 10 hours, building someone else's dream. They come home tired. They scroll on their phone. They go to sleep. And then they repeat it all over again. 5 days a week. 50 weeks a year. 4 decades. And then one day, they quietly ask themselves, why am I still struggling? Now, let me tell you something important. Hard work, by itself, will not make you rich. If hard work alone created wealth, every construction worker would be a millionaire. Every farmer would be wealthy. Every employee staying late at the office would be financially free. But that's not what we see, is it? Millions of people work hard. Only a few build wealth. So what makes the difference? It's not luck. It's not some rare talent. And it's certainly not magic. It's mindset. You see, employees work for income. Owners build assets. Employees trade time for money. Owners build systems that work, even when they don't. And today, we're going to talk about something simple, but powerful. How to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like an owner. Because that shift, that small shift in thinking, can completely change your financial future. So stay with me. This might be the most important perspective change you ever make. An employee usually asks, how much salary will I get? An owner asks a different question. How much value can I create? That one shift changes everything. Employees trade time for money. Owners build systems. Employees wait for the end of the month. Owners think about the next 10 years. Employees look for security. Owners look for opportunity. Now here's the honest truth. If you only earn when you work, you will work for the rest of your life. There's nothing wrong with working hard. But if income stops the moment you stop, you don't own a system. You own a job. And a job depends on you. But when you build assets, something interesting happens. Money begins to work for you, instead of you working for money. Most people live inside a simple loop. Job, salary, expenses, repeat. No ownership, very little growth, and almost no freedom. But wealthy people, they play a different game. They focus on buying assets. They think long-term. They understand compounding, not just in money, but in habits, decisions, and reputation. And this is exactly what Warren Buffett did. He didn't become rich overnight. He didn't chase quick wins. He simply thought differently. And he kept thinking that way. 4 decades. And that made all the difference. Let's talk about something powerful. Warren Buffett bought his first stock at 11 years old. 11. While most kids were outside playing. He was trying to understand how money works. Not because he had to, but because he was curious. As a teenager, he didn't wait for opportunity. He created it. He delivered newspapers. He started small businesses. At one point, he bought a single pinball machine and placed it inside a barber shop. That one machine started earning money for him, even when he was asleep. Now think about that for a moment. He didn't say, I'm too young. He didn't say, I don't have enough money. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He simply started with what he had. That's owner thinking. Not waiting. Not complaining. Just acting. Later, when he began investing seriously, he didn't chase excitement. He didn't run after trendy companies. He invested in businesses he understood. Simple businesses. Predictable businesses. One famous example was Coca-Cola. He invested billions. Not because it was fashionable, but because he believed something simple. people would likely keep drinking Coke. For decades. He ignored the short-term noise, the headlines, the daily market drama. He focused on long-term value. That's not employee thinking. That's investor thinking. And over time, that kind of thinking changes everything. Here's something interesting. School doesn't really teach you this. In school, we're told, study hard, get good marks, find a safe job. And for many people, that sounds reasonable. But notice what's missing. We're rarely taught how money actually works, how investing works, how businesses grow, how wealth compounds over time. So we grow up believing something simple. Job security is everything. But here's the reality. There is no real security in depending on a single source of income. Companies lay off good people. Economies slow down. Markets fall. Life changes. Security built on one paycheck isn't really security. True security looks different. It comes from skills, from knowledge, from investments, from having more than one stream of income. Warren Buffett has often said, the best investment you can make is in yourself, your skills, your ability to think clearly, your communication, your financial education. Because markets can fall, jobs can disappear, businesses can struggle. But what's inside your mind stays with you. And that compounds too. So let me ask you something simple. Are you building income? Or are you building wealth? Salary can give you comfort. But assets give you freedom. And over the long run, freedom is far more valuable than comfort. Let's talk about a habit. A quiet habit that changed everything. Warren Buffett spends most of his day reading reports, books, financial statements, page after page, hour after hour. He once said, he reads hundreds of pages a day. Now that surprises people. They expect success to look exciting. But often, it looks like study. Why does he read so much? Because knowledge compounds. Just like money. A small insight today can turn into a big decision tomorrow. And a big decision can change your entire future. Here's something important. He didn't become successful and then decide to learn. He learned first. He built understanding. And then success followed. Most people today scroll endlessly, refreshing their phones, consuming noise. Successful people study. They're curious. They ask better questions. Most people watch entertainment. Wealthy people watch education. Not because they don't enjoy life, but because they understand something simple. What you feed your mind shapes your future. Your degree alone will not make you rich. Your mindset might. So maybe it's time to shift. Stop feeding your phone. Start feeding your brain. Learn how money works. Learn how investing works. Learn how businesses grow. You don't need 10 hours a day. Even one focused hour every single day can change your life over time. Because just like money, knowledge compounds. And over decades, that compounding becomes extraordinary. Here's a principle that sounds simple, but changes everything. Most people work for money. Wealthy people make money work for them. That's the difference. It's not about working harder. It's about thinking differently. Rich people focus on buying assets. Assets that produce income. Assets that grow over time. Poor and middle-class families often buy liabilities. Things that look good, but slowly take money out of their pocket. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. It's that simple. Wealthy people buy things like stocks, businesses, real estate, assets that can work, even while they sleep. Many others spend on the newest phone, a car they can't comfortably afford, things that start losing value the moment they buy them. Now here's something interesting. Warren Buffett still lives in the same modest house he bought decades ago. He doesn't chase luxury. He chases value. He understands something most people miss. It's not about looking rich. It's about being rich. Those are two very different goals. So every time you earn a rupee, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this decision helping me grow? Or is it just helping me survive? Because wealth is rarely loud. It's built quietly, decision by decision, year after year. And in the long run, consistency beats speed. Every single time. Let me share something simple. Start small. But start now. You don't need locks to begin. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need everything figured out. You simply need to begin. Start with what you have. Save 10%. Even if it feels small. Small percentages turn into meaningful amounts over time. Learn the basics of investing. You don't need to be an expert. Just understand the fundamentals. Build a second stream of income. Maybe you freelance. Maybe you start a YouTube channel. Maybe you learn a digital skill. The form doesn't matter as much as the habit of building. Because even small steps matter more than standing still. Warren Buffett didn't place billion-dollar bets on day one. He started small, carefully, patiently, but he stayed consistent. And consistency is far more powerful than intensity. Most people wait for the perfect moment. They wait until they feel confident, until they feel ready. But perfect moments rarely come. So start imperfect. Start unsure. Start a little scared. Start small. But start. Because years from now, you won't regret starting too early. You'll regret waiting too long. And one day, your future self will look back and quietly say, I'm glad you began. One day, you'll realize something important. Time is more valuable than money. Money can be earned again. Lost money can return. But time, once it's gone, it doesn't come back. And sometimes, by the time we understand that, it feels a little late. So don't spend your best years only building someone else's dream. There's nothing wrong with working. But don't forget to build something of your own. Don't just ask, how do I survive? Ask a better question. How do I grow? Don't chase a bigger salary. Chase freedom. Because salary pays the bills. Freedom changes your life. Stop thinking only like an employee. Start thinking like an owner. Owners think long-term. Owners build assets. Owners create options. And here's something to remember. Average is crowded, comfortable, predictable. But growth requires a decision. And deep down, you weren't born just to blend in. You were born capable of more. The question is, will you think differently? Long enough to become different? If this message added value to you, I'd appreciate a simple gesture. You can press like. You can subscribe. And if this way of thinking resonates with you, type the word owner below. Because sometimes, writing a word is the first step toward becoming it. And if you know one person who needs this mindset shift, share this video with them. You never know. One idea at the right time can change someone's direction. And remember, your journey doesn't start tomorrow. It doesn't start next year. It starts today. Small step. Clear decision. Consistent action. Thank you for spending your time here. And I'll see you in the next one.